Christmas Eve, babe, in the trunk tank, an old man said to me.
Hello and welcome to the Christmas Eve edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and I want to wish you all a splendid Christmas. I suppose for some of you who watch in Australia, it is already Christmas. I hope Father Christmas has brought you exactly what you wanted, including, for some of you, some chocolate cake. Now, look at this beautiful puzzle we're going to be trying today as well. It's called Advent Calendar by Marty Sears, and I love the idea of this. It's incredibly cleverly designed. So if you look around the grid, literally it is like an advent calendar. These red circles are the numbers 1 to 24. Where's 24 is down here. So that's today's window that we're going to open. And yeah, it's got a really interesting rule set, and I don't actually know how difficult this is. Imagine if this is like a 3-hour video. That would be something of a disaster, but I'm sure it won't be. In fact, I don't really have any news today. Just a reminder, if you are patrons of the channel, we have given this incredible Christmas present this year, Fistomafel's Sudoku Hunt. Absolutely extraordinary stuff, so do get yourselves over there. And if you've got any spare solving time over the coming days, that would be, I suggest, where you should spend that time. But with that said and done, let's have a look at Advent Calendar, and I'll read you the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply, but using the digits 0 to 8 instead of the digits 1 to 9. Okay, find and colour the 24 hidden cages which do not overlap. Each cage has a different total between 1 and 24. The total for each cage is given on one of its cells by a red clue. It's given on one of its cells. I see. So that's saying that one of the cells in a cage has a red clue that gives the total for the cage. Oh, is that really meant to say that? Digits may repeat within cages. Digits may repeat within cages. All cages are triominoes, i.e. consist of 3 cells orthogonally connected, apart from one, which is a pentomino, containing 5 orthogonally connected cells. Okay. Cells with a large snowball in the central 3x3 box. Okay, these are snowballs today. Cells with a large snowball count as double their value for the purposes of their cage totals if they reside within a cage. Okay, and cells separated by a small white dot contain consecutive digits. I can see some of those. Cells separated by a small black dot contain digits with a ratio of 1 to 2, i.e. one is double the other. So one of these digits is double the other, and not all possible black and white dots are given. Right, so that's fairly self-explanatory. I think we're basically going to have to find mostly 3-cell cages. So, oh, with repeated digits, yes, and that makes sense, I suppose. Now I think about a 5 cage. So if the 5 cage was those 3 cells, for example, it could be 1, 1, 3. Now, do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video, as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now, the one thing that I suddenly thought as I was reading the rules is that it said that the snowballs count as double their value if they reside within a cage. So let's do some mathematics on this. We've got 24 cages, 23 of which are 3-cell cages because they're in triominoes. So that is 3 times 23, 69. And then there's another cage which is a 5-cell cage, so that gets us up to 74, and there are 81 digits in my Sudoku because it's a 9x9 grid, so there are exactly 7 cells in this puzzle that are uncaged. Oh, the poor things. Right. And we haven't got a clue where they live, although I suspect one of them at least might be in the middle 3 snowballs because of that little addendum to the rules. So, where shall we start here? Let's start with the black dots, I suppose. A run of 3 black dots. We're in 0 to 8 land today, aren't we? But we could never have put 9 on a black dot anyway, because you can't put 4.5 or 18 on its adjacent cell. So 3 black dots must be either 1, 2, 4 or 2, 4, 8. and that means that the middle digit is always 2 or 4 on a string of black dots. So we've got 1, 2, 4, whoopsie, 1, 2, 4, 8 here, 1, 2, 4, 8 here, and a 2, 4 in the middle. That does not seem very helpful. 23. It's going to depend, isn't it? We don't know which one of these is the pentomino. If that's right, but it's interesting. If that's not the pentomino, we can't use 9, can we? Because there are no 9s in the puzzle. So it would have to be 8. It would have to be 887 in here, which means that it must. It would mean it would have to. Oh no, it could be up there. It could be 887. I was going to say it would have to cross the boundary into this box, but it doesn't need to do that. In fact, it could do it in a variety of ways, but it would need to get out of this box, because we can't repeat digits within a box. We just can, obviously, across borders. Right. Oh, hang on. Hang on. Right. If 23 is 887, what's 24 in 3 cells? It's impossible, because it would have to, well, even if it wasn't here, imagine this was 24. You can't put 888 around a single cell of a Sudoku without breaking the rules of Sudoku. Right, so the 24 is the pentomino, and that means we should start to shade it in. So it goes from here. Now look, it doesn't overlap with the 4 in the 22 cage, so it must escape through this little valve. Hang on, let me think about this. So I can see it could go either way then, and it could take this cell or this cell or both. Do I now know more about this cell than 22 is still very... Oh, I suppose... Right, no, 24 in 5 cells has taken all the pressure off it. So the 22... Does 22 need an 8 in it? 7, 7... Yes, it does. That has to have an 8 in it. At least one 8. Because 777, which is not even possible, but alright, 776 would be possible. As in a triomino. 777 wouldn't be possible because it would break the rules of Sudoku, but it also wouldn't add up to 22, it would only add up to 21. Right, so... so now the 23 is a triomino and is 887, but we still don't... Do I know that this is an 8 then? Or is that not... No, no. I don't, do I? It could be like that, and that would be 88, and that would be 7. Oh, bobbins! How unchristmassy that I can't do the puzzle. Oh dear, dear, dear. Right, let's try. What I was thinking of trying is let's try and find a place in the grid where there's a massive difference. In fact, there is probably the biggest difference between numbers, isn't it? 1. How do you make 1 in a triomino? 0, 0. Right, so 1 in a triomino must be 0, 0, 1, and that means there must be 2 zeros in this one's cage, and in order to put to have 2 zeros, you're going to have to go into box 8. So one of those 2 cells must be a 0, and one of these 2 cells must be a 0. Because we're only using 3 cells, aren't we? So it's going to be something like 0, 0, 1. Although that won't work because that will break that cell. Oh, hang on. Hang on a minute. Sorry, I'm now trying to understand whether this white dot matters. Because you can put 0 on a white dot because it is consecutive with 1. But if you do that... Ah, that's really beautiful, actually. That's fair play. That's beautiful. I don't think this can be 0. And the reason is really weird and quite wonderful, actually. If that's 0, that's 1 by white dot logic. And we might at this point think, well, that's fine, because in terms of this 1 clue that we need to put a 1 into, we could put the 1 here. And that's fine. Absolutely, we could. But now this 0 sees both the possible positions for 0. That we know we need a second 0 around the 1, and we can't find one. So that means that this is not 0, which must mean those two are 0, I think. I'm now questioning myself. There isn't another way of putting a... I can't think of another way. And no, there just isn't. There just isn't another way of putting a repeated digit around a cage total other than in a 2x2. Because obviously if we're going to... the only options for a triomino are a 2x2 or a stripe. And a stripe is never going to work if you're trying to put a repeated digit in it. So it must be a 2x2. And once you eliminate one corner of the 2x2, the other two corners must have the repeated digit. That's really cool. That really is cool. So now, does that pen in my 12? It certainly does pen in my 23 a bit, which is 887. But that could still be 887, 887. Oh, good grief. I mean, that's amazing. Well, can I prove this is an 8? If that's a 7, I don't see how that can be a 7. Am I missing a trick there? If that's a 7, how can I put 88 around it? No, I just don't think there's a way. I've got to repeat a digit, so I've got to be looking at a 2x2 that's... It doesn't matter how we draw the... Well, it's not that 2x2. But it doesn't matter how I draw it. That's always 8. Principally because this cannot be 8. So that's 8. But the other possibilities for where 8 goes to partner this 8 are there, there, and there, unfortunately. So I don't improve upon that very much. I now can't put 8, 0, or 1 in the 3 clue. Now 8 I was never planning to put in it, but 0 or 1 would have been nice to put in it. Although we can repeat digits again across this boundary. So what does that mean? Oh no, hang on, I can't put 0 across the boundary because of these zeros. So in fact I could still put 0 in the 3 clue. Do I need to have a 0 in the 3 clue? I can't. Yeah, I can't have 3-digit ones. Oh, that's beautiful. Right, again, I'm sort of starting to understand this. So the 3 clue needs a 0 in it. Where does that go? Well, it must be in one of those 2 cells, I think. It can't be here, it can't be here, it can't... That's too far away for a triomino. So it's got to be in one of those 2 cells. Now, how is the balance made up then? We just need a digit. We need a 1 and a 2, don't we? That's the only way that's going to work. So I've still got to put a 1 in my 3 clue. But could I have a stripe here? I could have a stripe, couldn't I? I could have 0, 1, 2 like this, or 0, 1, 2 like this. I'm very anxious not to make a mistake here. I think it would be quite easy to overlook possibilities. 0, 1, 2. So if that was 0, 1, that would be a 2. Oh no, that is not true, because I've just seen that's going to play. If I go 0, 1, 2 in there, that cell's got to be at least a 3, and 3 is greater than 2, and we can't have negative numbers in this puzzle, so that just is wrong. So the 1... So now I'm thinking that has to be a 1. I can't... Given I need a 0 in this clue, and the 0 is in this column. And I can't put the 1 here because that would put a 2 here. The only place for the 1, I think, is there. I think it has to go 1, 0, 2 like that. And then this cell is not able to be 0, which would be consecutive 1. That's another 2. So there's a 2 over here, probably in the 5 clue. That's not 0 anymore. And the 2 clue now can't have... Well, that cell has to be a 1 because it can't be a 3 again. So that's a 1. So that means the 2 clue is I need a 0 and a 1 in it as well. So the 0 has to be there. That's the only place you can put it by Sudoku. And now I need another 1 in it, so that's got to go there. That means this is not a 1. Oh, look, sorry, look, that's a 2, so that's not a 4. That's an 8 by Sudoku, so that's 8, so that's 2. I'm not going to be shocked, by the way, if I suddenly come up with a, I'm going to get a clashing digit, because this feels very alien using 0s and 8s only. Right, hang on, let me just think about this. So now what have we got? We've got 8, look, is in one of those 2 cells by Sudoku, which means 8 is over there. Not maybe massively surprising that there could be an 8 in the 16 clue. Oh! No, I tell you what else I should do here, because I just didn't realise that then. But that 16 clue is penned in. It can only get those cells. So what I need to do is to start labelling up. Let's use some colours to label up the... So that, oh, no, that could still, no, look at my 23 clue as well. We know that needed 2 8s in it. Well, that must be those 2 8s. So that must be the 7. Wow. So that's finished. Because we couldn't put an 8 there once there's an 8 here. Oh, and sorry, I'm now seeing that this is not right. Because that could be a 2. Oh, bobbins. Look, I put this 2 4 in, and then immediately looked at this gap and said, oh, well, that's got to be where the 16 goes. That's absolute nonsense, because the 2 could be in the 16, along with 2 digits that add up to 14, which it could be 8 and 6. Ow. Okay, right, so I definitely do need to start labelling up here. So that was what we thought the 3 clue did. That is what we thought the 2 clue did. That digit, therefore, has not found a friend yet. Oh, the 19. The 19 is forced and involves this black dot. So that's got to be, yeah, that's got to be a 4-8 pair. Because if you put anything lower than that, 3 6 is only adding up to 9, and we can't put 10 in the corner. So that's 4 8. Which is 12, so that's a 7 in the corner. No song for you. But now let's label that up. These 3 digits now. You see, I want to put those in the 14, but that might not be right. We've got to remember there could be gaps. Oh dear, oh dear. But what I can do is label up the options for these cells. So that is 3, 5, and 6, which does add up to 14. So does, no, it doesn't. It doesn't necessarily mean that this is the 14. It's just probably the 14. Okay. Where now? That 12 clue. Oh no, because I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again. I'm trying to put this digit in the 12 clue. It might not be in the 12 clue. But I suppose from just a pure black dot perspective, that's either 3 6 or 4 8. Gosh, if it's 4 8, we do some work, because that's a 2 4 8 triple then. I think it would be really easy to make a mistake with this puzzle. I've almost made about 12 so far. I may well have made one. Okay, so where is it safe to look? What what can we usefully do? There is a 2 down here, probably in the 9 total. Yeah, hang on a minute. Well, that 9 total is 2, 3, 4, because it can't have 0 or 1 in it. And the only way, so if you add up the 3 other lowest digits, you get 9, 2, 3 and 4. So that is 2, 3 or 4. Now where does it go? Where can we safely assume it goes? Well, actually I can say something about this cell. Because imagine that this 9 did that. Then this black dot would not have 1, 2, 3 or 4 on it, and that's impossible, because if you start with 5 you're going to get to 10 on the other side of the black dot. So there must be a 2, 3 or 4 on that cell. Now, well, we know that's not part of the 9, so these two are definitely part of the 9. I think I'm going to start repeating colours soon. This is a different colour. Let's make that light green. But is it this one or this one that's joining up with our 2, 3, 4? That's definitely not a 2. Well, okay, can I do this therefore now? So what's this digit is my question. Does that have to be a 6? I think it does. We know it's not 2, 3 or 4 or 1 or 8, so that is 6. There we go. So that's 6, that's 3. It still doesn't tell me which of these 2 squares is orange. But 2 must live in the corner, so there's a 4 now in one of those 2 cells, which is lovely. That gets me a 4 and an 8 at the top, an 8 here. These squares are now known. They're 4, 5 and 7, which means that's not 5. That cell is 3 or 6, which unfortunately is not resolved. 18. Can 18 have a 2 in it in this puzzle? Well, actually, this is interesting. What's that? Oh, that digit's a 5 by Sudoku. Oh, I see. It could be 5, 6, 7, couldn't it? It could be 5, 6, 7 like that. Or it could be 6, 5, 7 like that. Oh, you rotten thing. Alright, there's a white dot here. So that's not got a 3 on it. Right, so that's got to be a 6. That's a 6, that's a 5, that's a 3 by white dot world. That's a 3. Those 2 squares have got to be 7 and 6. This black dot now is not... It doesn't involve a 1, 2 or a 6, so it involves a 4 and an 8, and we can put that in. So that's 8, that's 4. This black dot now has to be a 3, 6 pair because it can no longer be a 4, 8 pair and doesn't involve a 1 or a 2. So those digits up to the top right of the grid are 4, 5 and 8 in some order. And do we know anything clever about any of those? Not really. What about that digit? That's on a white dot. So if that's a 6, that can be 5 or 7. Aha! And if it's a 3, it's not a 3. Because that cell can't be 2 or 4, so that is a 6. Okay, that's at least a little deduction. So this is 5 or 7. And and I've not put 0 in this box. So we've got 0, 5, 7 into these cells, with this not able to be 5. Oh, we're getting into the land where the snowballs might have to be considered as well. And I really want to know, oh, the 16, is that now forced? It can't take... Right, let's do a little bit of shading. That cell, I'll make it purple again, definitely doesn't overlap with this digit, whatever that is. Let's make that blue, because that's part of the 17 clue. So the furthest away I can get, I need 8 more, so it's got to be the 3, 5. So it was what I originally thought. Now, This digit then doesn't take this, so it does take this one. And we know we need 12 more, don't we, on top of our 6. So that must be a 5-7 pair like that. Wow. So that puts 4 down here. That makes that cell orange, this cell green. And we do know the order of the 5 and the 7 because of this 7. That means there's a 7 down in the corner over here. This column needs 3, 5 and 6 to where's 3 go in column 4? Can't go there, can't go there. So 3's got to go here. This is a 5 or a 6. This is a 5 or a 6. That's on a white dot. So if that's 6, that has to be 5, which looks okay. If this is 5, this could be 4 or 6, and it can be 4 or 6 bobbins. 17. How are we making that up? Oh, probably by 6, 7 and 4. That adds up to 17, but it could involve this naughty digit. Oh, no. Okay, the 17 cannot come to this square because that would count as double. And even if that was only 5, oh, it could with a 1. Oh, but how would it get a 1? No, it couldn't get a 1 because if that was 6 and that was double 5, that would give us 16, which gives us 1 degree of freedom for 1 more digit. But even if we get a 1 there, that would count as 2. So this cell does not come into this position. Which I think means it must be 6, 7, 4, mustn't it? Oh. Well, it's got to take this digit and then it needs 4. Yeah, I can't see another way of that working. So I'm going to say that that's forced. This cell is now isolated. So that is one of the naughty cells. That's one of the, well, not really the naughty cells. That's one of the poor little cells that's left on its own for Christmas. Gosh, how sad. Now, the 14 clue now, can I force that to be 653? Probably. How could it not be that? How could it not take this 6? If it doesn't take this 6, you simply cannot get to 14. So it does take the 6 and then it needs a 3. So that's actually a forced sequence as well, those 3 digits. Now, what have we got? We've got to fix a 20, which includes an 8. So we need 2 more digits that add up to 12, which could be... Oh no, I was going to say which could be double 6, but then I've suddenly realised we can reach the middle as well here, because otherwise we'd be looking at 4, 8 or 5, 7. Which probably 5, 7 is what we're going to be looking at, isn't it? That. Oh no, that would pen in the 12. How does the 12 reach its total? We need 9 more. So we can't take the 6, can we? In fact, how does this reach its total? Oh, I see. It could be 3 plus 2 plus 7. How could it not be that? That's the question, I think. If the 12 takes the 6, then we need 3 more, and there's nowhere to get that from. So it doesn't. So the 12 definitely takes those 2 cells. Now, if this was a 0, we'd need a 9. So that's clearly not a 0. So that's the 0 in box 2. Now, if this is a 5, we need a 4, and we can't get one. So that's got to be a 7. And now we need a 2, and we can get one. So that's forced. And that means that cell's now a 5. So these digits are now known. They've got to be 0, 6 and 9. Oh, no. There are no 9s in this puzzle. 0, 1 and 6 is what of course I actually said. I don't know. Did you mishear me? This is 2, 3 and 7. Well, can we put 2 in there? No. Actually, all 3. This is a triomino that needs to add up to 21. It's quite hard if you put 7 in it. It's definitely impossible if you put 3 in it. So that's 7. These 2 squares lose their 7-age. I probably can't take this digit. Might be able to take this. 6, 7, 8 would work. Oh, that's probably what it is. It's probably those cells. But if it took this cell, it could then take that one as well. What would we be saying then? These two have to add up to 14, so that could be an 8-6 pair, and that would work. Yeah, okay. So 5 is quite... Oh, 5 could be very simple. 0, 2, 3 would work. Okay, is there an obvious place here where I should be looking for sort of some sort of easy win? Oh, hang on, what's this black dot then? That's got to be 3, 6 because it can't involve 1, 2 or 4. So that's 3, 6. There you go. There's an easy win. 6 and 3 go in like that. So that's 5. That's therefore 4. So these squares are 1, 2 and 8. We can place the 8. We've got a 1, 2 pair here. Now, has that done enough work that we can learn some things? The 15 can't take the 3. Because its third digit would need to be a 6, and we can't put 6 here because it would repeat in the row, and there's no other 6s available. So the 15 takes the 4 and then needs a 5. So there you go, that's fixed that. That's got to look like that. The 8, well, the 8 could take that digit, and then it needs 5 more, and it looks, oh, it's quite difficult for it to get a cook. Oh yeah, in fact, where would it get a 5 from? That's a good question. So if the 8 comes here, its total would be 3 at the moment. 1 plus 2 is 3. There is a knowledge bomb. Don't say I don't give Christmas presents. So that would give us 3. We'd need 5 more. Well, we can't put 5 into those squares by Sudoku, and there's nowhere else to get a 5 from. So in fact, that goes up. Let's make this green. So it goes up, but we don't know whether it goes there. It probably doesn't go there because it's such a low total, but it could go here. Let's pencil mark all of this in, I think. I'm thinking these cells. So those squares have got to be 1, 2, 4, or 7. Now we can get rid of... That's become 1 or 7. It sees 2 and 4. That can't be 1. Okay. Not sure if we can do better than that. These squares include 0, so they've got to be 0, 1, 2, and 5. That's not 1. That's not 2 or 5. So that's just 0 or... And that's... Oh, okay. Well, that's very interesting, actually. This cell is the key, isn't it? Because unless I've made a mistake there, I'm just double checking my pencil marks, this cell is a 0 or a 1. Well, we've already looked exhaustively about how easy it is to make 8 from a 1-2 pair. If this was a 1, we need a 5 from somewhere, and we can get a 5 here, but it would count as 10 if it was in the if it was included in a cage, because it's in the snowball. So that must be a 0. And now we're looking for 1, 7 or 2, 6, aren't we? But we could get... Well, we can't get double 3 from there, apparently. So I think this has to turn here and get a 7. I can't see how else it would do that. So that feels useful. Let's do some tidying up again of pencil marks and see whether... So this is a 2-5 pair now, so that's got to be a 4. That's got to be a 1. That should be known. That should be a 6, 6, 7. So that's counting 12 in whatever it's in. So does... No, it can't reach that 20. What, in fact, what can that reach? This could be another lonely cell, I think. Last Christmas I gave you my heart, and the very next day you gave it away. This is the sad Christmas song of the puzzle. That's 6 there. I can't see how to get it in a cage. I'm not totally sure, but it can't reach that one because it's only triominoes were allowed. It can't reach this one. So I think this is a lonely cell. How does this work? We need 12 more. But we could get that, which would count as either 4 or 10. Oh. I can see a way of working that, making that work. If that's double 5, 2, 8, that would add up to 20, but that would make all 3 of these cells sort of lonely cells. How else could this work? There's no, actually it's that, isn't it? There's no other way of making 12 more from this cell. It clearly can't go into the 0. If it goes into the 4, it needs another 8, and it can't get one. So, wow. So that goes into the middle like this. Let's make that grey. And therefore that one needs to be the doubling one that's very high. So that gets doubled. These 3 poor little cells, at least I suppose they share Christmas in close proximity to one another. And we've just got to do the the right hand side of the grid now. And I don't really have a good feel for where the weak points are, but maybe down here where at least we can write in some triples. So let's see what we're going to get. We're going to get 5, 7 and 8 down here. We're going to get 1, 2 and 6 into those, and we're going to get 0, let's not forget 0, 3 or 4 into those. Now, 22. Do we know what that needed to have in it? In a triple. Did it have to have 8? Yes, it did, because we said we couldn't have more than 2 7s. 2 7s and a 6 is not adding up to 22. So it does have 8. Is it that 8 it's got to have in it? Or could it just have an 8 here? Well, one thing it can't have in it is a 5. If that's a 5, the other 2 cells have to add up to 17. And without the availability of a 9, that's not going to work. So this is either 7 or 8. So if it does have 8 in it, the other 2 digits have got to add up to 14, which means they could be 8 and 6. So we could go double 8, 6. Or we could go double 7, 8 actually, couldn't we? That would be the other way of doing it. I think it's got to be double 8, 6 by the looks of what we've got left to actually pick from. If that's a 7, we need 15 more, and that's just impossible with these. We definitely need that 8, and then the best we've got is 6. So it's got to be 8 here, that's got to be 6. That is adding to 22. I'm just double checking that that feels right. I don't think there's another way of doing that. So if that's true, those can be yellow. The 15 is done. And we found another lonely cell down here. A lonely 3. Oh, the 6 could be 0, 2, 4, look, going across there. Although, no, it's not that. Because I've just realised I've got to get my 24 pentomino out. So the 24 pentomino's got to come through this cell. It has to take that cell, even if it was all of those 5. It still has to take that one. And in fact, look, that's on a black dot. So that's definitely not 0. Which means that's definitely not 1. So we've either got 2, 4 or 3, 6. Which is probably important, but might not be. So what's going on with this 4 clue? The 4 clue can't contain a 4. That's going to break it very quickly. What's that digit? Because that digit's definitely included in the 4. That is either 1 or 3, therefore. Because it can't be 0, 2 or 4, and it can't be any bigger than that. So if that's 3, we need to put 1 here and 0, which would have to be, would be impossible actually. I think that's impossible. If that's 3, because we need to take a triomino, even if we took that square, we've got to include this one. 3 plus 1 is 4, and then I need a 0. That's not able to be 0, that's not able to be 0. So that is 0, that's not 0. And I now need, well, I could have had a double 2, but that's not possible given the geography of what's left. So it's going to be a 0, 1, 3 combination, so we still could take this cell. That's annoying. Oh, that's a 6, so that is a 2. So that is a 4, that is a 3. Aha! So that is a 1 by Sudoku, so that's a 3. And does that mean that's forced? Well, I'm not sure. It does, actually, because couldn't we come across and take that cell? Oh no, then the pentomino. What? There wouldn't be room for the pentomino. That's interesting. Well, there would be room for it, actually, but it wouldn't add up to enough, would it? Because we'd have 7 involved in it. So those 2 squares would have to add up to 17, and that's not going to work. Wow, okay. Okay, so here's the point. If you just have that as the pentomino now, it's impossible to make 24. So this has to come out, and the moment it comes out, it pens in the 3. So those have to be the 3. That cell's got to be part of the pentomino to get this out. So we actually get an L pentomino without an 8 in it, in fact. So we've got 12, 18. We need 6 more. So that's a 6. And that does work. Look at that. There's no 6 in this row. So that, by a process of elimination, is a 1. That 7 is doing some work. That's a 7. Oh, I've just realised there's an 8. There's a white dot here. That's probably been available for ages and ages. I'm so sorry. I just didn't see it. I got obsessed with the maths. It wouldn't be cracking the cryptic without a few rickets like that. That's a 0. That's a 1 by Sudoku. I can do the 3. I can do the 2. We'll probably find we can now do the Sudoku, and we've just got to figure out the pentomino, or sorry, the triominoes and what's left. Okay, so now this 6, well, that looks like it's going to have to do that. But let's actually label these up. So we've got 2, 0, 2 and 4, in fact, into those cells, I think. So that's a 4 by Sudoku. And that's a 0 by Sudoku, and that's a 2 by Sudoku. So that's a 5, that's an 8, that's a 4. Yeah, well, I am going to be able to finish the Sudoku now. 5, 7 and 8. So this is 8, this is 5, this is 7. But the puzzle is not solved because I've not done all of my advent calendar yet. I found 5 of the lonely cells. How many lonely cells did we say there were? 7. So there's 2 more lonely cells to find. Right, so how does the 6 work? There's no, that must be those cells. There's no other way of making 6. So the 10, which has a 4 in it, needs 6 more. Oh, but it could have that one doubled with another 4. The 7 can't have an 8 in it. So the 7 must come to here. Okay, and so that's the 7 shape. It must be 2, 0, 5. That's the only way that works. So the 10 shape, which has a 4, can't have a 7 in it. So it does take the 1 where it needs another 4. That's beautiful. So it's got to do that very precisely. That gets me another lonely cell here. And I've got 4 more advent calendars to fill. 21, how is that? That must be 6, 7, 8. There's nothing else that's going to get that high from what we've got left there. So that becomes 6, 7, 8. 13, oh, that's beautiful. That's just got to go round the corner there. 4, 8, 1. 11, 5, 6, 0 it looks like. So that's got to be, it's got to take that cell, doesn't it? So what it can't be is that. That would just be ringing the 11 with an 11 cage. That's not the same as including it. So it's got to be that. And 5 is 0, 2, 3 going across there. Look, what a lovely puzzle. And that's left us with... Oh no, hang on, I've got the wrong number. 4. I've got 8 cells left over. That's not right, is it? My maths is wrong. Hang on. I'm going crazy. Oh, I haven't shaded this cell. Oh my goodness. Look, this was part of the 7. This was part of the 8, sorry. 1 plus 7. That's a relief. That's a relief. I was like, maths isn't working. But once I include that, as I had intended to in there, we just get left with a mere 7 lonely Christmas digits. What a beautiful puzzle, Marty. Very enjoyable indeed. I hope you had a go at that, actually. I don't think it was too bad. It was just a bit weird having to think about how the zeros interacted. But I really like, there was some sort of simple arithmetic to get you going. And then just a lot of care and attention in order to make sure you didn't make a ricket, which I made a few times, but never mind. It's Christmas. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much. You know, many of you have been with us for a very long time. We are so grateful. This is an absolute privilege to make these videos every day. Well, there will be a video tomorrow, of course, Christmas Day. We are not going to be defeated in our quest to continue to produce daily videos, which we've done ever since the start of the pandemic. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, have a very, very happy Christmas with your friends and families. And we'll see you again later for another edition, Cracking the Cryptic.